Welcome to Your Personal Power Pod, a podcast about aligning yourself with the life you want. And here are your hosts, Sandy Abel and Shannon Young.
Shannon, how are you today?
Hey, Sandy. I'm struggling to bring my life into order today. How about you?
Me too. Before we started to record, my desk broke, Shannon's computer broke, things were not coming together. It's
All
just
in the
one
last
of those.
3 minutes.
I know it's one of those days. But darn it, we're going to do this because it's important.
That's right. All right. So today, this is a thing that actually you and I talk about a lot in our life, just because we are one and our partners are the other. And then there's a third option, which I didn't even know about. So we're talking about extroverts, introverts, and ambiverts.
These are three personality types that refer to how you are when you're with a group of people, how you interact. There's positives and negatives to each one. The important thing is that you know what you are, so you know how to work with it and take care of yourself.
I think it's important to stress that, as with so many of the things that we talk about, people are not usually all one or all the other. It just kind of indicates a tendency.
Exactly. Most people are on a continuum. It refers to where you draw your energy, and people can do that from a wide variety of places.
So let's start with extroverts. What does it
Okay.
mean to be an extrovert?
When you're an extrovert, you're outgoing and you have an expressive pattern behavior. You love meeting new people and are friendly and sociable and talkative. And you actually draw energy from being with other people and really enjoy social interactions.
Yeah, I have friends who are huge extroverts, and you can tell when it's been a while that they've been social because they start getting antsy. Like they really
Yeah.
need that interaction, and they will throw parties and they'll want to meet you out somewhere, or they just can't sit still. They got to be out doing stuff with people.
Exactly. Wherever they go, there's no strangers. They know everybody. And if they don't, they make them instant friends. And they're just friendly folks, which is lovely. It's a wonderful thing. Extroverts usually have a lot of social confidence and high self-esteem and kind of like being the center of attention.
Or at least being in the warmth of that. Like if you're with a group of people, you're all kind of in the center of attention.
And you share the spotlight,
Right.
but the energy of the group energizes them. If they're alone too much, they feel isolated and really get exhausted. It's kind of interesting.
And they like to communicate by talking. And this can cause problems in relationships if you are one and your partner is the other.
Yes, right. Yes, if one of you likes to talk and that's how you connect and show love and all that, and the other one is much quieter and doesn't enjoy that nearly so much, it's important to understand who's what, and that the fact somebody is not being an extrovert is not about you, it's about them.
And it's not a bad thing. It's just the way they operate.
Of course, all of this, there's no good, bad, right, wrong with it. It's just understanding who you are and who other people are so you can all work with it.
Another thing I've noticed about my extrovert friends, I used to get irritated by this because I'm a very let's get to the point person, although you wouldn't know it by listening to me on this podcast. They speak as a way to explore and organize their thoughts and their ideas. And
Right.
that to me would get frustrating because I could see the end point, but still
Yes.
they were talking to get there. And I would be like, yeah, I get it. Let's move on. But they need to do that so that their thoughts are all in order.
Right. Yeah, they need to talk things through to come to the bottom line. Other kinds of folks like you and I, we just think it through. We don't talk it through. And then we speak the bottom line. If you're an introvert and you are with an extrovert, you just have to be patient and let them talk their way through things.
And because of that, they tend to act sometimes before thinking.
Or they say things without thinking, which can cause problems at times. But there are a lot of positives.
There are a whole lot of bennies, and sometimes I feel like our world is built for extroverts.
Yeah, I think so. As we've said, extroverts gain energy by spending time with people and often have a wide circle of friends.
They get inspired after they spend time with other people. So it's really a very positive cycle for them to be in.
Yes, that's how they make friends easily. They tend to think out loud, which sometimes is good and sometimes not so good.
Yeah. But because of that, they are usually pretty open to exchanging thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, and they like to work in teams and enjoy brainstorming. They're great team players, and they're generally outgoing and really friendly and like meeting new people.
Yeah, there are downsides though. They can struggle to spend time alone and get easily distracted. And interestingly enough, they are also more likely to engage in risky behaviors, which is really interesting to me. Why do you think that is?
I think that they may not be thinking things through. If they can't talk them through, they don't give it thought and look at the outcome. They just sort of jump into things.
Or they go with the crowd.
Yeah. And also they like attention. So they might do risky kinds of things to get it.
Interesting. Just things to be aware of if this is your tendency.
Exactly. Or if your spouse or children or partner is an extrovert, it's a good thing to understand how they function and what motivates them.
And then recently, it feels like there's been a whole lot of attention given to the introverts. Da-da-da!
And what do you mean the introverts? What are they?
We've kind of, and when I say we, I mean you and I, we've always sort of talked about what it means to be an introvert because both of us are. And I think we like being social, but we can only do it for so long. It wears us out. And I remember as a kid, this is going to sound crazy, I really liked bathrooms. You can go in and close the door. I will feel my energy increase the second I close that door.
It's the one place where nobody is going to come in and bother you.
Yep.
I think that's why I like to take baths.
Yes.
Because it gives me lots of time alone in the
And it isn't to say we don't like people. We like people a lot.
Oh, we love
people. It's just
people.
that other people wear us out.
Exactly. They do. And we process internally and need time for our brains to run and do what they do. We don't process verbally like extroverts do.
Mm-hmm. We need a lot of quiet.
We do. We need quiet so we can concentrate and reflect and be self-aware and take time making decisions.
Mm-hmm. Introverts typically are not fans of working in a group. Team projects are not a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, we feel much more comfortable alone and working things out on our own. And we'd rather write something down than talk about it.
Interesting.
As we both said, we both feel exhausted if you're with the crowd. I enjoy being social and seeing my friends and seeing people I care about. The end of this week, I'm going to a conference, and it's an all-day conference. And
you can hear how tired you are already.
I am looking forward to it because there are lots of great people there, and it'll be really fascinating, and I'll learn a lot. But I'm already tired because I know after spending all day in a room with 300 people with things going on all around me, I'm going to be beat.
And I think part of that is just that, well, I know in my case, it's because I'm hyper aware of what other people are thinking or feeling, and I don't always necessarily know the right thing to do or say. And so all that trying to figure out is what's so exhausting.
Yeah. You're just trying to tune into everybody and see what they need. Whereas I don't think extroverts actually do that. They just jump right out there and go, hey, how are you? This is who I am.
Yeah, who are you? Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Whereas we're just trying to figure it all out on the down low.
Yeah, and that wears us out.
It does.
So we feel really tired after being in a crowd. Introverts have fewer friendships than extroverts, but they're usually really close, long-term kinds of people because we take time and energy to get to know them.
There are bennies to being an introvert, though.
Of course. Many. Most introverts are really good listeners. As we were saying, we usually think before we speak.
I've not found that to be the case.
Really? In your case, you're not. You don't think before you speak?
Yeah, not always.
Well, like we said, we're on a continuum, you know. You get some extrovert in there too.
They do tend to be pretty observant, though, and that's because they're quiet.
Yeah, so they can watch what's going on and come to conclusions about what's happening before they ever do anything. So that's a positive about being an introvert. And introverts usually make quality long-term friends and are good partners because they're not clingy and understand the other person's need for space without taking it personally because the introvert has a need for space too.
And they can make really good leaders because they take the time to learn about the people they're leading.
Yeah, they make meaningful connections and take the time to get to know who the people are. Those are the positives of being an introvert. Plus, there are probably many more we haven't covered.
Do tell about the negatives.
Well, Introverts tend to feel awkward in large social settings, which might make others think that you're being unfriendly when really you're just uncomfortable. And we're easily overwhelmed by noise and lots of activity, which that is so true. If I'm in a place that's wild and crazy, oh man, I mean, it's fun and energizing for about 5 minutes, and then I'm just tired and overwhelmed.
Too much stimulation. It can be really easy to overthink things instead of doing as an introvert because you can just get caught up inside your head.
Right. And if you don't talk it out or open your mouth or anything, you just go around in circles sometimes. And that is not a real positive thing.
The whirlpool. I've got the whirlpool in my head.
Yeah, there you go. And you just recycle thoughts. And sometimes you need to open your mouth and share them with somebody so that you can let them go.
To get it out.
And some introverts actually struggle with being assertive or setting boundaries because they don't speak up.
Which then leads to being anxious and stressed in social situations because you don't know how to protect yourself.
And because you don't speak up, you might miss opportunities, especially if you're an introvert at work. You could be overlooked if you don't speak up.
So this is new to me. I'd never heard the term ambivert before. And that's kind of a cross between the two.
Exactly. I'm going to say it again, that introverts and extroverts are on a continuum. Most people are not all one or all the other. And a lot of people are ambiverts, which means you're in the middle between being introverted and extroverted. And you often have traits of both.
Can you have any variety of the traits of both? There aren't specific ones.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
It's really a positive thing to be an ambivert because usually you're a good listener and a communicator like introverts are and can relate to people on all levels, but you also are likely to speak your mind tactfully and be a good peacemaker and negotiator.
So then these people are probably pretty loyal.
Right.
They make good solid friendships, but then can also be social with large groups of people.
Yeah, and are good at staying calm and regulating your behavior and having good leadership skills.
Which indicates they're probably pretty highly empathetic.
Exactly.
So you say these people are also really good at telling stories and listening to stories. The listening makes sense.
And the extrovert part of them is happy to share stories.
Oh, that's interesting.
Ambiverts are really interesting. They process information internally before deciding on any matter, but can also join a conversation and take the lead and grab the attention. So it's an interesting mix.
Probably makes them a really good team player then, if they're a good leader, but then also good as part of the group.
Exactly. They usually enjoy socializing and then after that like to withdraw and recharge after the social engagement.
So if being an introvert / extrovert is a continuum, at what point do you fall into the ambivert section?
Well, when you're an extrovert, you're just out there and you're 100% re-energized by being with lots of people or even one person just interacting all the time. If you're a true introvert, you don't like being out there and you are drained by being with lots of people. And ambiverts are able to balance that and go to parties and really have a good time. But then when they get home, they would like some quiet time. So it's more of a balance and nothing is as extreme as if you're a true extrovert or a true introvert.
Do you think most people fall into this category?
I don't know. I think it's up to each of us to look at ourselves and figure out where we fit in all this and then utilize it. Make the best of it, utilize the positives and try to avoid the negatives so that you can create the relationships and interactions and life you want.
Is this something you can change about yourself?
That's a good question. I don't think so. I think you can change how you behave, how you act. Like I used to be incredibly introverted for a wide variety of reasons, but have over the years gained more confidence and self-esteem and am now able to function just fine in a social environment. So I think you can train yourself to do that.
You can learn to work with it, but you're not going to change the way you're built.
But it still wears me out. And I think my husband, your dad, is an incredibly wonderful extrovert. He doesn't know a stranger. Everywhere he goes, he makes friends. And when he stops, he goes to sleep because he just isn't being energized.
And how is that for you being an introvert?
Oh, it's great.
How do the two of you work together?
Well, we understand each other and love each other a lot and know how we each function, so it works well. If he needs to talk, we'll talk, and I listen, and we have a nice conversation. If I need quiet, I will tell him that I need some space and go down the hall or something, and
And take
it
a
works.
bath.
Yeah, and take a bath. So, and it works. So, but I think if you're in a relationship with a person or if you have children, it's important to understand who they are and how you all function together and what their needs are and what your needs are and how to blend those.
I like that this is becoming more of a topic of conversation in our world today. I think there was a time back when I was a kid where there were people who were very happy being social and people who weren't. And the people who weren't were kind of labeled as wallflowers. You know, it
Right.
was very much a negative thing. There
Yeah,
wasn't
right.
as much understanding that that's just a defense mechanism. You're just protecting your energy. I'm sure there are people who just genuinely don't like other people or who just don't know how to be social. But there's a huge contingent that is just like, yeah, I love going to parties, but it wears me out. I can go have dinner with a few people and be fine. I don't need to go to the 200 person rager, you know?
Right. Exactly. As we said before, there isn't anyone that is better or worse than the other. There's no judgment here. It's just awareness of where you fit so you can make it work for you in your life and with the people in your life.
Just one more piece of information that helps you learn the best way to take care of yourself.
And claim your personal power.
Thanks, Sandy.
So, shall we do the bottom line?
Yes, do it.
Okay. There are several personality types that determine how you act with other people and in social settings. You might be an extrovert, which means you're friendly, outgoing, and energized by being with people. Or you could be an introvert who is quiet, thoughtful, and energized by being alone. Or you might be a combination of these, which is called an ambivert. Each type exists on a continuum. While some people might tend to be at the extreme end of either side, most people are somewhere in the middle. And each personality experiences positives and challenges. And the important thing is that you understand which you are so you can make the most of it and use it to create a happy, healthy, and successful life.
Yes.
Yes.
And when you are feeling social, please reach out to us.
Absolutely. We love to hear from you.
We do. And so tell us what you want to hear about. Tell us about how personal power and self-esteem have affected your life or how you reclaimed your own personal power. And if you feel like doing so, you can review our podcast. That's really helpful for us. And you can do that wherever you stream. Or if you just want to talk to us about it, what you think, what you'd like to hear more of, what you'd like to hear less of, you can just go to yourpersonalpowerpod.com, click contact, and drop us an email. And if you would like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, please do. We're so pleased to finally have one. And if you want to learn about coaching and how it can change your life, reach out to Sandy. You can find her at sandy@insidejobscoach.com. And we look forward to hearing from you. And until next time, find your power and change your life.